anyone was wondering if this was going to be a good series, I think that the Indiana Pacers answered the bell. Let's talk about that. It's going to go as follows. We're going to go through the team data, comparing and contrasting some of the team stats. I'm going to go through the turning point in this game, like the final few minutes of the game. I'm going to have the game clips on there to kind of go through it. There's going to be a little Hartenstein section, which I can't wait to get to. There's also going to be some Andrew Nembhard appreciation. There's going to be a little Andrew Nembhard section for anyone that's a Pacers fan or anyone just, blown away by what Nembhard has done this season. There's also going to be a Mark Daigneault section where I have some questions, and I'm going to wrap it up with OKC and the Pacers' perspective after game one. So let's get right into it. So team data, it was in the bag for the Thunder all night long, and in Pacers fashion, like we've seen all playoffs long, these dudes do not go away. They're down 15, they're down 11, and as I'm watching this game, I'm thinking it's still too close. It's still too close, and we see it over and over again with these guys, man. Their defense doesn't let up. They have some hiccups here and there, just like any other team could, and their offense just lighting up the Thunder. Back to back to back to back. I mean, everyone's going to talk about the Halley shot. It's really just everything combined, and like the Miles Turner backboard, the sidestep backboard three where Chet overcommits and he jumps, leaves his feet, and Turner hits that crazy three. That one was a killer. The Andrew Nembhard kind of pull up combo dribble over Shea. That three was huge. That was a killer. Also the Aaron Nesmith corner three that kind of gets lost in the mix. That was another one that really crushed the Thunder. And even then, it was still winnable for this team, and they still managed to let go of the rope and throw the game away. And more credit to the Pacers, because I want to say the Thunder threw the game away because they were winning the whole time. The Pacers came into this building. They never gave up. They played with heart, and they snatched game one, and now they're up 1-0 in the series. Now, I know I said I was going to get to the team comp, so let's get straight to that. Points in the paint, points off turnovers, rebounds, turnovers, three-point percentage, field goals attempted. These are the stats that you're seeing right now on the graphic. And look, man, points in the paint. I told you guys this was going to be a big benefit to the Thunder, right? Like this was going to favor the Thunder, being able to get into that paint and get points in there with no problem for the most part. They won the paint battle. In terms of scoring, 46-34. You can't ask for more than that. Points off turnovers, though, the Thunder won that battle. Thunder had 11 points off of turnovers to the Pacers 4. The Pacers turned it over 24 times. They locked in later on in the game, but 24 turnovers from a team that we know takes care of the ball really well. Like I said before the series, if any team is going to force turnovers against this great offense, it's the OKC Thunder. And they did exactly that. They forced 24 of them. The Thunder only turned it over 6 times in this game. And they still lose. So it's like, if I gave you that stat, like the points in the paint and then the turnovers, if I just gave you those two things, you're thinking, oh, this is a blowout. The Thunder destroyed them. But there's more to it, right? You look at the rebounds. And I'm going to get into that when we talk about the small ball stuff. Rebounds, man, 56 for the Pacers. Something that they're not great at. They just dominate the Thunder. And it's because of the rotation that Daigneault went with, right? He wanted to go small. He was worried about perimeter defense. He was worried about transition defense. And it blew up in their faces right here with the rebounding, 56-39. Really hard to win games when you're getting out rebounded by such a big amount. Then we go to three-point percentage, which is something that I was also concerned about because I was thinking, hey man, great shooting team, the Pacers. They've got that 5-out offense with 5 guys that can shoot threes and put the ball down. And they shot 46.2% from 3. They shot the lights out against the number 1 3-point defensive team in the Thunder. And when in this day and age, all we ever talk about is the possession battle, right? Like what team gets more possessions, what team's going to get more attempts. That's typically the team that wins the game, right? If it's a significant difference in field goal attempts and possessions. OKC had 98 field goal attempts in this game to the Pacers' 82. So we talk about field goal attempts. We can talk about points in the paint. We can talk about turnovers. They should have won this game. But again, Daigneault does the small ball lineup thing, and he does that to be a more strong perimeter defensive team, more ball pressure. We're in the gaps. We're able to close out quicker. We're able to switch and be in a offensive player's face sooner, right? We don't have to concede mismatches in high pick and rolls, whether it's Hartenstein, whether it's even Chet, who he moves really well, but another guy that they could try to go out in high pick and rolls. But, clearly the small ball stuff didn't bother the Pacers. I mean, you could argue that the Thunder were up all game and it was working, but the Pacers still shot it well. So, and I'm going to get to the perspective part of it. So that's enough of the team section stuff, because I want to just go right to the turning point in this game. And for me, it's the 2:52 mark in the fourth quarter. Thunder are up 108-99. Shea just made both free throws. And at this point in the game, it's a little back and forth. The Pacers are climbing back, but the Thunder are still ahead. The Thunder are still relatively comfortable with a decent lead. Now, obviously, we know that these leads get cut in seconds by the Pacers, but nonetheless, this was like really where everything just went to hell, right? There's a scramble where Nembhard turns Cason Wallace a few times in transition. He draws help, and by the way, man, 9 times out of 10, if you've watched these Thunder games, that is a Thunder steal. And it's going the other way, and they're probably going to score. But shout out to Nembhard, man. He manages to keep his hands on the ball. He finds Obi Toppin, and Obi Toppin hands it to Nesmith in some kind of like chaotic, panicky handoff, right? Where there's a little bit of clutter. There's some bodies in there in the corner. And there's that first crazy, tough corner three. 108-102. We go the other way. Dort screens for Shea. Shea splits through and, in a great, just quick way, right? Puts the ball down, splits through them, and he kicks it to Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams, he fakes the extra pass to Cason Wallace, and, man, I really thought that shot was going to go in. He misses the three. It is what it is. We go the other way. We get the Nembhard dancing on Shea, combination dribbles, left to right. There's a lot of little hesitation moves, and he pulls back, hits a huge three off the dribble against Shea. That was arguably, obviously you could go the Halliburton, right? It's the one that mattered the most. It was the game-winning shot, but that shot over Shea was big time, man. And it's 108-105. Thunder still up 3. We get Cason Wallace setting kind of like a ghost screen for Shea. He slips. Shea finds him on the short roll. Perfect timing. And Cason Wallace kicks it out to Lou Dort, who has shot the ball insanely well in this game. Dort misses the three. It happens. It is what it is. We go the other way. And Nesmith puts the ball down, and right when he looks like he's going to get a free little layup, here comes Lou Dort. Just immediate redemption after missing that three with the massive block over Nesmith. Just jumps straight up. First of all, he runs in the direction of Nesmith driving. Then he just stops in his tracks, stops on a dime, jumps straight up, absorbs the contact, blocks the shot, no problem, no foul, and we're going the other way. Right? Shea gets a wild drive in transition, and he actually makes it. That was a tough layup in transition. It looked pretty crazy to me. He makes it. The Thunder are up 110-105. There's about a minute and 27 seconds left. Nembhard gets fouled later on. He makes both free throws. It's a 3-point game. We get another wild drive from Shea. He gets blocked by Siakam. That was a massive block by Siakam. I did not like the look from Shea. I thought it was a little rushed. I thought there was more time to kind of figure things out. The Thunder were very stagnant down the stretch. And look, Nembhard, he tries a similar shot. He misses it, and Siakam is right there for the rebound. One of the problems of the small ball lineup is shots get missed. you're not in position to rebound. And look, I'm giving credit to the Thunder. They've got guards that can rebound on both ends. These guys are monsters, able to get some really good rebounds that you were like, wow, how did they get to that ball? But at the end of the day, if there's big guys down low, Siakam is a relatively big guy compared to when we're going player for player with the Thunder. And he's down there and he's ready. He catches it. He lays it in. I mean, it's just, that was a killer. That was a killer. It's 110-109. There's 48 seconds left. OKC looks incredibly stagnant. Shea kicks it to J-Dub, who's been off all game long, and he misses a tough layup. You know, I've seen J-Dub make those, but again, with the small ball lineup, late in the stretch, no one is really there to kind of get a good rebound. And yet, Siakam and Wallace are in this little entanglement. Shout out to Will Smith's wife, whatever her name is, I forget. They bump into each other. That's what it looks like. Rick Carlisle challenges the call because obviously they just rule it out of bounds on Siakam. It's unsuccessful. The Thunder get the ball. Well, did Rick Carlisle? Yeah, he did challenge it. And OKC retains the ball. And I'm thinking, all right, they get the ball back, but they absolutely have to score. I'm watching this game with my wife, and I'm telling her, right before the inbound even happens, if the Thunder don't score here, the Pacers are going to score and they're going to win this game. It was trending in that direction, and the bucket needed to happen, right? Shea gets the ball. He gets the look he usually makes. There's a little bit of struggle to snatch back the ball because Nembhard is just, look, man, Shea with the 38 points, he had a great game offensively, had some mishaps, right? Some bad decisions, but I mean, the dude was awesome in game one. So I am happy with the look that Shea got. We know he makes those. It is what it is. He misses it. We go the other way, and it's the moment that is all over social media right now. It's what the Hallie. It's another Halliburton shot. It's another Halliburton game-winning shot. I mean, it was just like, as soon as Halliburton had the ball, I think that everyone in the building knew that this was a Pacers win. And that's exactly how I felt. It's even before the Thunder inbounded the ball, like I said, I was convinced if the Thunder don't score here, the Pacers are going to score because they had just been nonstop getting buckets. And we've seen that storm of the Pacers offense. It's building, and then it becomes this insurmountable problem where everyone's hitting shots, and it's crazy shots, it's easy shots, it's the swag is built up amongst the team, everyone's energized, everyone's happy, and all of a sudden it's an incredibly dangerous team. And it's how they find themselves in the finals to begin with, right? So, so we have that game winner, and it's the Thunder down 0-1 with their backs already against the wall. The Pacers with home court advantage now. The Thunder absolutely have to win game 2. And I want to get into, the Hartenstein piece of this, because I think that this was something that I just completely disagreed with. And I understand that they had more of a small ball lineup without Chet in the regular season against the Pacers, and they were comfortable, right? It was Case and Wallace for Chet. In this case, they have Case and Wallace in for Hartenstein. Now, listen, I was telling you guys there's going to be a lot of small ball stuff where they're going to go one big. I thought it was going to be some rotations with Kenrich Williams. I am still shocked Kenrich Williams did not play in this game. I don't know what that was about. I saw AJ Mitchell out there playing more than Kenrich Williams. That made no sense to me. Okay. And look, I'm not a dude that's like constantly questioning the coaching. I don't do that a lot because I consider the coaches obviously know way more than me, right? And they know more than all of us, right? Like, they know the counters, they know all of like, they have a built up just stack of notes, and assistant coaches and even the players that get their say. Everyone is very well informed with the decisions they're making. It's all strategy, I understand. But I have to disagree when I see the Thunder immediately flinching. Or I don't want to say flinching. I want to say immediately adjusting to the series before there was a reason to, right? Like you've won 68 games in the regular season. They've got like 80 wins in the playoffs, playing Hartenstein and Chet as your double big lineup. And it's very successful. It wins a lot of games. It's pretty fucking proven that this is a strong lineup. And you adjust early because you're worried about the pace of the game with the Pacers. You're worried about the perimeter shooting. You're worried about having bad matchups on switches. There's plenty of time to make adjustments in a game. There's plenty of time. And I wanna just say this. You could easily argue that Daigneault was right for what he did because they were up all game long. And let me give you the clips that I saw from Hartenstein that, look, I get it. He was the single big in those lineups. So people are probably going to argue with me and tell me, hey, man, that's not a double big lineup. Hartenstein's cooking, but Chet's not out there with him. Fair enough. But here were some possessions that made me think, okay, Hartenstein is going to be better than maybe Mark Daigneault gives him credit for by pulling him, right? Because look, he subs in for Chet at the 5:05 mark in the first quarter. The Thunder are up 12-10, okay? The very first screen that Hartenstein sets, Shea splits it, he drives, it's easy as hell, 14-10. The screens that Hartenstein sets are strong. They're brick walls. They create a lot of separation. And you could sit there and say, oh, well, they don't have to commit. They can just be in a drop because Hartenstein is a roll big, right? He's not a guy that's going to shoot. If he catches it at the 3-point line, it's going to be handoffs. It's going to be maybe he puts the ball down and tries to get to the basket if the lane is available, which he does a couple of times in this game, by the way. But those screens are strong. And when you create separation on screens and the ball handler's getting to that paint, that's where the help comes, and that's how we get open threes. So, he did that. Another sequence for Hartenstein. By the way, in my opinion, it was his best sequence of the game. He picks up Obi Toppin on the wing, right? He forces a pass out to TJ McConnell. Then he switches on to TJ McConnell, and he stays along for the drive on that Nash dribble along the baseline. So he cuts off McConnell along the baseline, doesn't allow the layup. He forces another pass up from McConnell, right? McConnell passes it out. Halliburton has the ball now, and Hartenstein switches late onto Hallie, and right when it looks like he's out of position, after all that work he's done, by the way, Hallie finds Obi Toppin, from, obviously, it's a skip pass, and Hartenstein deflects it. Even though he's out of position, he deflects it. He's able to catch up and cut off Obi Toppin, right? He goes to close out on him at the 3-point line, stays along with him for another drive, and he forces the Obi Toppin turnover. That was all Hartenstein. And that's a great example of why I believe that the two big lineup should still be at least attempted, right? I don't like the fact that throughout this entire game, it was never attempted. We never saw Chet and Hartenstein. And I don't know why. And you could argue it's because they were up all game, so he was sticking to the formula. Fair enough. But I think that when Hartenstein did that, it should have put a little light bulb in Mark Daigneault's head and said, Chet's mobile, right? He can recover for the mistakes that Hartenstein maybe makes on the perimeter. Maybe some late switches. Chet Holmgren can kind of show and help and deflect. He's a lankier guy as well in that back line or as a help defender. It's a lot harder to make passes. So I don't know how that. I really hope we see the double big lineup in game 2. I'm a firm believer in sticking to your guns and adjusting in the middle of a game. Now, I just wanted to talk about that section with Hartenstein because I felt like he really showed a lot in this game with the rebounds. There was a fake handoff that he had somewhere at the top by the 3-point line. He just puts the ball down, gets to a reverse layup. He makes it. He got some putbacks in the game as well. Just like the screens he's setting, like I said, he's creating separation. I just think when you have that big-to-big lob as another option, you get really easy looks. And I get it, transition defense-wise, it is what it is. You got to trust guys to get back as hard as possible. Right? And maybe they make that adjustment. I really hope they do. I'm just I'm not saying that the Chet Hartenstein front court is something that you play the entire time. I just think that you're really leaving money on the table when you're taking away a very efficient offense, right? Like these two guys, very similar to that Jared Allen and Evan Mobley combination, though obviously Chet Holmgren being way more of a floor spacer than Evan Mobley in general. He's just a better shooter. But it's a similar concept where you have a pick and roll with one of the bigs, and then you have the other big in the dunker spot, and then you get that big to big lob. It creates a lot of problems. It causes a lot of collapses, and it forces the Pacers to also like, hey, what are we going to do about this rim protection? Because all we got is Miles Turner. And if Miles Turner's being pulled out at the three-point line to guard a pick and roll, who's in the back line protecting a Chet in the dunker or a Hartenstein in the dunker? I think it's a no-brainer. Like, I feel like if you're constantly getting offense, occasionally you're going to give up points to the Pacers. That's just what it is, right? The Thunder are an incredible defense, and look what the Pacers shot from three. The Pacers, they're going to get shots up. They're going to make threes. You're not going to stop them 100% of the way. You might not even stop them 70% of the way, 60% of the way. So like, why not kind of like put their defense to the test and just double down, right? Just dominate them in the paint. Like, just do it. Do it, and then do your best to contest and help each other when there's kickouts and switches when you're on defense. I don't know. I totally disagree with not playing Hartenstein and Chet together. I feel like I spent a lot of time on that. Now, I want to get to the Andrew Nembhard section of this pod because I feel like it's definitely something that should be mentioned. This is a guy that, great example for the young players out there, the young hoopers, whether you're in middle school, high school, maybe even college. He's been a good player for a very long time, okay? He was a winner in high school. You see him at the U18 FIBA playing for Canada, right? Doing good things international-wise. Obviously, he's a Canadian player. He was a good player at Florida in college. He transfers to Gonzaga, where he plays next to Chet, their teammates, for anyone that didn't know that. And he balls out there. And where does he go in the draft? He's the 31st pick. So 30 people get picked ahead of this guy. And he averages just 10 points a game, right? But then when you really just take a deep dive, don't look at any other playoff series if you don't want to, if you're lazy, and just look at game one in these finals. Who has the ball? When Halliburton's being pressured by Lou Dort. Lou Dort doing an incredible job against him, by the way. As good of a job as you can do. And who has the ball, right? Obviously, you see Siakam with it, but you see TJ McConnell with it. But who has it a lot of the time in crunch time? It's Andrew Nembhard, the 31st pick in the draft, 10-point scorer in the NBA. Know your role, guys. Know your role. This guy, he plays hard defense. He has the task of picking up Shea for the majority of the game. And Shea scores 38. You guys can make fun of it all you want. Shea's working very hard for those. There's a lot of times where Shea's cooking, and you can't do anything about it. Nembhard's guarding the MVP right now. And he's also being asked to hold the ball and make the decisions and hit big shots and make the right passes while Hallie's being pressured. The head of the snake, by the way, Halliburton. I know Siakam won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. This team runs with Hallie at the helm. And what makes this team great and what makes Rick Carlisle one of the all-time great coaches is that he has changed his philosophies from going from a guy to calling every single play down the floor like Miles Turner was talking about in the presser to allowing freedom, letting players read and react, giving the ball to Halliburton, to Nembhard, to Siakam, to TJ McConnell, letting them cook, and occasionally making some adjustments, pulling guys back, telling them to just, trust the rest of the guys to make a play. And that's what makes this Pacers team so incredible to watch. And a lot of coaches, whether it's in the NBA or high school or any other level, can really learn from this series, from both of these incredible coaches. But yeah, man, just, Andrew Nembhard, man, just a great story and someone that a lot of young hoopers should definitely look at and learn from. Know your role. You're not going to get the ball all the time, but when the ball finds you, you make quick decisions. When you're being asked to play some defense, you play hard, you show the effort, and you make an impact on that end as well. So let's get to the Mark Daigneault part of this whole thing. He's got some decisions to make. And he can go one of two ways, in my opinion. You can stick to your guns and say, hey, we were up. We're going to go small again. We're chasing the series now. There's a lot of pressure on the Thunder right now. They got to win this game. And I fully expect the Thunder to show up and dominate. I think game 2 is going to probably be a blowout. And that's no disrespect to the Pacers. I'm just very confident in the Thunder's ability to bounce back. And not just bounce back. These guys bounce back in a tremendous way. And if you've been watching them, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But look, man, I talked about the no big to big easy lobs. I talked about the Pacers shooting well anyways throughout, even though they went small and tried to be better defensively on the perimeter. Clearly, that didn't really make an impact three-point shooting percentage-wise, right? Like guarding the three against the Pacers. I guess my question to Daigneault in this whole thing is, are you going to readjust and show your hand and say, hey, man, I made a mistake. I got to go double big to start and then make an adjustment later? Or does he double down and does he say, hey, man, we were winning. We were up all game long. I think when Hallie, one of those shots was like the first time the Pacers had a lead. I don't think they had a lead throughout the entire game. So, Daigneault could just be like, no, we're running this again. Like, this is what we're doing again. And maybe he throws in the double big because I just feel like you can't pass up on the opportunity to get those easy baskets. That's a question I have for him. That was really the main thing. Is he going to double down or is he going to make an adjustment again? And by the way, if that adjustment doesn't work, like let's say he goes double big, which I really don't think he's going to start like that, because sometimes you're also going to take confidence away from a Case and Wallace. Because you started him in one game, and now you're going to say, you know what, we're going double big again. And look, Daigneault's experimented with lineups all season long. He talked about that in the presser, how guys are comfortable. They know we've played lineups that have been mixed up, right? And we start guys some games, we bench guys some games, we take away minutes in the middle of games, and guys are fully comfortable with jumping in and just answering the bell. Very good strategic choice by Daigneault all season long, because obviously when you throw in a Kenrich Williams randomly in that last playoff series, he shows you good things. So it's things like that, right? So what I'm thinking is I think he could go either way, obviously. I suspect he's going to stick to that small ball lineup because it worked early, and they're just going to double down on it and maybe then mix in Chet and Hartenstein. So let's get to the perspectives, right? Let's start with OKC. What's in their head after game one, right? Like, these are the pros, in my opinion, okay? We were up all game. We forced the turnovers against an offense that has not turned it over a lot, right? So, and we threw it in the end. So they could hang their hats on that. They could say, hey, man, we're in good shape. We did everything we could. We didn't rebound well, and we didn't hit shots down the stretch. Chet Holmgren had a horrendous game. J-Dub had a horrendous game, and we still lost it at the end on a final shot. So they could say that, Pacers perspective, right? These are the pros for them. We turned it over a ton, and we still pulled back and won this game. We shot the lights out against the best three-point defense in the league. So clearly we can do it, right? Like, they proved that they could do it. And we also proved that they had to adjust to us before a game was even played. They went small to start. They already went away from what they've been doing all season. So that's a win in the mental pockets of the Pacers, in my opinion. And the most obvious one, they now have home court advantage. So good perspectives for the Pacers, good positive thoughts for the Thunder. And let's get to the concerns for both teams. So the concerns for the Thunder, let's start with them. And it goes back to that Mark Daigneault thing. What are the rotation decisions going to be now, right? Are we now backtracking or are we doubling down? I already talked about that, so I'll leave it at that. Is Chet okay? After this game, he looks off. Something looks wrong with Chet. He looks off. He looks uncomfortable. He looks lost. He looks slow in terms of like a shot is missed and he's kind of out of position. He's taking long to kind of get in place. I see him like the Pacers will miss a shot or there's like a turnover and Chet's kind of late to react. Like if you're watching him throughout this game, he doesn't look locked in, doesn't look focused. He had a couple of good moments, but there's something doesn't look right with him. And Miles Turner looks incredibly comfortable against Chet. He was cooking Chet on offense. He was also locking up Chet. Pacers concerns. Can we take care of the ball? right? They showed it in the second half, right? They definitely tightened that up, but clearly they showed that they may not take care of the ball as well as they thought against this team. So that's a concern for me. And the main concern with the Pacers that I've talked about before the series was the shooting. Are they going to continue to shoot it at this level? Because if they have a shooting slump, I really think that that's the game they're going to get blown out. Definitely, like, will the hot shooting continue? That is the biggest question for me with the Pacers. All right, let's see what else we got. So one last point that I wanted to mention with the Miles Turner versus Chet Holmgren thing. Miles Turner, man, like, if we go to the matchup tracking data, and I'll show the clips anyways. I'm looking at this right now. So let's put Miles Turner on defense. Obviously, the main matchup was Chet Holmgren here, and, you know, Hartenstein whenever he was in there. Chet Holmgren was 1 for 7 against Miles Turner, according to the matchup tracking data. And let's look at some of these shots just to kind of go through them. And I mean, look, Chet gets the pump fake at the three-point line, and he puts the ball down, gets to the rim. This is like what Chet does that I was convinced that he was going to have a really good time against Miles Turner. And look, man, maybe he just, like I said, he just had a bad game. So a lot of his layups were missing. You know, a lot of them were good contests by Miles Turner. He's being physical with him and, you know, making him think twice on drives and shots. And, you know, here's another one, right? Chet's pump faking. Miles Turner, really good defender in the post. He protects the rim really well. And look, man, like, Chet's got to do a better job of making harder contact, right? Because Miles Turner is not moving on these bumps. He gets straight downhill. Miles Turner, you know, stays planted, right? And Chet kind of tries to get around him. And I think that was a block by Miles Turner, right? Either that or Chet just missed it really badly. But it's like I'm thinking, like, if Hartenstein's out there with Chet, who's guarding Hartenstein, right? Like, which one of the, because Miles Turner can only grab one of those guys, you know? So I really think that Daigneault's sleeping on that possibility, man. Or maybe he's keeping it in his back pocket. I mean, obviously he's keeping it in his back pocket. So, you know, it was just a bad game for Chet, man. And I'm going to make some call outs now. I'm just going to go through it now, man. Just like, what the hell is going on with these bad, not just bad Chet Holmgren games, but these bad Jalen Williams games, man. 6 for 19 from the field. He can't buy a basket for the longest of times. You know, like, you're going to look at the 17 points and you're going to think he was okay. He wasn't, man. He had a bad game. The Thunder can't afford to have bad games from Chet and Jalen Williams. These guys were, 8 for 28? If I'm doing the math properly, combined? That's unacceptable, man. Like, that can't happen from both of these guys, man. And it's like it goes to that theory with the Chet Holmgren thing. Like, whenever Hartenstein is out there, Chet Holmgren's defensive job is just a little bit less necessary. Like, he does a lot of the secondary rim protection stuff, right? Like, a lot of the help defensive stuff, whether he's in the back line or he's the main guy guarding a pick and roll, and he doesn't have to worry about also protecting the rim. You know, he really takes away a lot of pressure from Chet Holmgren, and then Chet Holmgren can really focus a little more on the offensive side of things too, right? Because he's not being asked to do so much on defense. I'm a firm believer in that double big lineup. I've said it all pod long. Yeah. So, you know, great game from Shea. I think that Lou Dort was awesome. I think Hartenstein was really good in the little bit that he played. I'm still blown away from him just playing 17 minutes. I can't believe that. Shout out to Isaiah Joe. Didn't play a lot. He did his thing on offense. Aaron Wiggins showed something, right? Made a shot, right? Did some good things on defense, but ultimately, I'm scratching my head at the AJ Mitchell thing. I really am. I'm sorry. I don't know. You know, I know he's a good player. I know he's a gem, like a sleeper kind of guy that they've got on that bench. You can't play him over Kenrich Williams. I'm sorry. That's unacceptable to me. I can't see that again, bro. That was a little outrageous to me. You know, Cason Wallace, he didn't really have it this game on offense, you know, and I talked about how this is a guy that hits big shots, but he struggled. You know, he definitely struggled. And the Halliburton shot over him, it is what it is. Halliburton's just a taller player, and Cason Wallace did the best he could. It's a chaotic situation. It's in transition, you know, but Definitely. I liked what I saw from him on defense. I think he's doing his best out there. I don't know. Like, I know Case and Wallace will often take that start over one of those bigs through in the regular season when we've seen it, but I actually would have liked to go with a little more experience starting. If you're gonna start a guard, and just start Caruso. Like, I don't get it. Like, why not just start the guy that's been to the finals and won a championship at that same position, and a guy that basically does the same things you ask Case and Wallace to do, which is pressure the ball, protect the rim as a guard, right? Find a way to get deflections, play physical, make the right decisions when the ball finds you with those little micro decisions, right? If you catch it on a reversal, you're either making that extra reversal, or you're going to shoot the ball, or you're going to put it down, hopefully draw help, make the kick out, or get to the rim, right? Like, they have similar roles, Case and Wallace and Alex Caruso. So I don't know why Mark Daigneault would go with the younger player to start. I don't know. I mean, that part of it was a little confusing to me, and I get it. It's like a normal thing that he's done in the regular season, but this is the finals, so that was something that I also kind of disagreed with. I'm not worried about the Thunder. I think that, they can always look back at this game and think, man, we really blew it. It's a nice fire under their ass, basically, like, to let them know, hey, man, you guys can be up all game, and this is the Pacers that we're talking about. This is a team that's not going to stop pressuring you on defense. They're not going to stop coming at you on offense. They are going to get as many possessions as possible. When they're down, they're picking up the pace even more. And we saw the fruits of that labor of playing fast the way the Pacers do. A lot of scrambles, a lot of good moments for the Pacers, great moments from the Thunder, but a heart-crushing loss. And now they find themselves chasing this series. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I will catch you guys on the next one.